Up and away, folks, and thanks, Judith. Up and away, folks, and welcome to part 2 of my Jaguar ownership odyssey. And in this video, I'm going to assess whether or not this car really was a bargain or not. As of the time of upload, I've owned this car now for 3 months, and in that time, some work has been done, some things have been realised, and much fun has been had. So for starters, let's talk about that little gearbox fault, because I've actually got to the reasoning behind it by joining a Jaguar XJ40 enthusiast group on Facebook. And it turns out that the gearboxes in these are very, very robust. The only things that tend to go are either the relay that controls it, that interrupts between the gearbox module and the gearbox itself, because it's an electronically controlled gearbox, or the connector on the side of the gearbox, which can get crudded up and whatnot. However, I have discovered that just from the mere act of driving this car, the gearbox warning light doesn't come on as often anymore. But that's because I found a little cheat, a little way around that, which is simply by turning on the ignition twice before I fire the car up. That tends to take the gearbox warning light out, so that's all gravy. Other little things that have been done, I discovered that the rear seat brackets on this seat had sheared, so I got a friend of mine to weld it back up for me, and it was in the process of refitting the seats that I discovered that the seats have been either designed or made by Recaro. So that was pretty cool to know that my Jaguar has Recaro seats. But it was definitely a job that needed doing, because the seat belt is attached to the seat. So in the event of a crash, basically I'd have a seat belt that's holding me back to a degree, and I'll have an airbag that deploys on the steering wheel to stop my face getting all swooshy, but I'll have nothing to stop the seat from basically crushing me within the confines of the seat belt. So yeah, it definitely needed doing. Another little revelation that had been made since the first video is I discovered the kickdown, which unfortunately I can't demonstrate because a truck has just cut me up at a roundabout and is now in front of me. Welcome to England, where the average driver IQ is 3. Other little jobs that needed doing, I had to get the brake pads sorted out, because I had a little warning light on the dashboard, and on the vehicle condition monitor it was saying pads. So I got some through work. They weren't expensive, with the wear sensor I think 26 quid, so that was all good. That's with staff discount, by the way, so that was really nice. Yeah, they definitely needed doing, as this picture can testify. They were very low, and yeah, no wonder that the car was getting a bit squirrely under hard braking, which in Telford happens a lot because of the aforementioned average driver IQ. What else has been going on? Well, I've been assessing quotes to get the bodywork done, because the bonnet, the roof and the boot lid are real eyesores on the car, and I really want to get those sorted as soon as I get Annie back from the engine builders. So yeah, it's going to be an expensive year for me for cars. I've got one car that's away for engine rebuild, and I've got this which is in need of paint. But I've managed to get to the bottom of why the paint is what it is. It's either a reaction, like the paint has just oxidised under the lacquer and it's caused much upset to the lacquer above, or it's been resprayed at some point, it's had a cheap lacquer put on it, and it's the lacquer that's reacting. Still though, it's still going to need a repaint. I can't just have it re-lacquered, which is definitely a shame. But over the last 3 months, I've been using this car very regularly, and it's been exceedingly reliable. Like, I can't even begin on just how reliable this car's been. It's been a true joy to own. I mean, after all, the Jaguar XJ40 was the first Jaguar that was designed from the outset to be reliable and trouble-free, especially at a time when Jaguar were branching out as an independent maker once again after British Leyland, and they needed to gain some customers basically. And one of the biggest stereotypes with old Jags is that they break down all the time, so they needed to remedy that. So this car has been absolutely reliable, which is more than I can say for the headlining, because as you can probably see, you might not be able to, it's got worse. We've had a lot of hot weather during lockdown, and the sag in the headlining has spread over to the driver's side to the point where if I'm not wearing my trademark trilby, it actually catches on my hair. So yeah, it's definitely something that needs attention, definitely. Otherwise, ownership of this car has been really, really good, but it's more hampered by everybody else. I try to avoid car parks if possible. If car parks are unavoidable, I tend to park in the loneliest part of the car park, and sure enough, 9 times out of 10, when I come up to the car, someone has parked right next to me, ignored all the other spaces, and literally gone straight beside this car. And I wouldn't mind that if they actually learned some bloody motor control. One thing that's annoying me at the moment is the fact that every time I come back to this car after leaving it in a car park, someone has taken a chunk of paint with them, and it's really annoyed me because the paint on the side of the car was fine. Honestly, why are the English like this? Because I never had problems like this when I lived in Scotland. I need to do some reversey. Otherwise, the car is very easy to live with. It's very easy to see out of, and it's very manoeuvrable. It's even more manoeuvrable than my dad's old 7 Series, which you had to do a 7-point turn to get anywhere, basically. This was the rather uggo one that came out after the E38. My dad had an E38 actually. That's a fine car. That is a good car. Yeah, all in all, Jaguar ownership has proven to be incredibly rewarding, and it's also proven to be surprisingly affordable. More so in this car because of the LPG. Now, the LPG, which I'm just switching to now because the engine is now warm, the LPG has been an interesting experience because, for one thing, you can't use the LPG when the engine is cold. And also, sometimes, if the LPG switches over prematurely, it'll cause a slight misfire, which will then trigger the check engine light. It doesn't mean anything, the light goes away next time I start the car. So it literally just triggers off a little misfire and the car's like, excuse me, I don't know what's going on here. That's my best impersonation of a Jaguar. As regular car reviews said, it's powered by harumps. So yeah, we're just approaching national speed limit, so I can demonstrate the kickdown, which is something I discovered shortly after filming the introductory video. Basically, I found a little button underneath the accelerator pedal. I was like, what's that? I went, oh, is that the kickdown? Because I always thought they're just putting it in sport mode, that engaged the kickdown. because it did change down a cog for you. But oh, isn't it typical? I get to a stretch of de-restricted single carriageway and there's a tractor in the way. God, I hate this country sometimes. Oh well. We've got up to 60 pretty quick anyway. We've already caught up the tractor. Out of the way, matey. Out of the way. At least this car overtaking is absolutely easy. Possibly the easiest thing I've ever done, apart from breathe. Yeah, with the LPG though, it's made owning this car very, very affordable. But I've been trying to chase up decent MPG. If I just go to my little thingy on here, I've averaged over the last 383 miles, I have averaged 19 to the gallon, which in LPG terms is like driving a car that averages just shy of 40 miles per gallon all the time. So that's what we're talking cost-wise here. But another little revelation I've made is that the car actually drinks less fuel in sport mode. I know, it's baffling, isn't it? The mode that makes the car rev higher and longer is the more economical mode. It's a weird one. I discovered this basically from the fact that I live in Shropshire, which is typically quite hilly. So you go up a hill and in normal mode the gearbox allows the engine to labour a little bit. Now if you allow an engine to labour, that's really bad for fuel consumption. It's why I always take taxi drivers with a pinch of salt. Oh, hello. It's why I always take taxi drivers with a pinch of salt, because of the fact that they always drive in 5th gear all the time. Yeah, we've just reached where I need to conclude the video. That little lay-by is a wee bit hidden, but you'll see why I wanted to conclude here, because it's a very pretty place. So how do I conclude this? Well, simply put, Jaguar ownership has been incredibly rewarding for me. I mean, even though this car is going to need a repaint at some point, which will probably involve the removal of this rear window because there's a little bit of crustiness down here, but that said, that gives me the perfect opportunity to change the headlining, and a kit to do the headlining is about 35 quid. To get a brand new headlining is about 150 quid, so not all that bad, to be honest. So this car has been reliable, it's been fun to drive, and parts have been inexpensive. Obviously we're going to have to watch this space and see what happens with this car, but all in all, I'm genuinely really proud of this whole thing, and the response from you guys has been pretty damn epic. And I think I may as well take this time to give a little shout out to a small channel who commented in my first video, this being T-Junction Garage. They're a small YouTuber, and if you guys could give them some love as well, then that'd be amazing. And I think that was a bird. But all in all, this car has been incredibly rewarding to own, really good fun to own, and it's just caught attention wherever it's gone. Yeah. It also helps that the XJ40 is my favourite Jaguar. It always has been, ever since I started watching Minder. When I first saw an XJ40 in Minder, I was just like, what is that? That's an amazing looking car. So yeah, I'm glad I've actually got one, a car that's actually a favourite of something. It's a weird one, but yeah, I'm actually really happy with the state of my little collection at the moment. I've got on one end a beautiful British saloon car filled with leather and metallic purple paintwork, which really is Moroccan red, but regardless. And then on the other side, I've got a Talbot Alpine, which is rare because nobody gives them any love. These cars are still pretty numerous, and as far as I can tell, are widely regarded as ideal starter Jags, just because they're so reliable. You've got to watch the bodywork, obviously. Now, I've had this car up on the lift, and the underside is very, very clean indeed, save for a couple of little botches, but the whole underside has been coated in axle grease, so it's not going to get worse anytime soon. So it's just something for me to keep an eye on, really. But yeah, it's a magnificent car. I absolutely love Judith the Jag. She's been, yeah, really good car, just an ideal travelling companion. Absolutely love this thing. Another little thing I discovered when I looked underneath is that the entire exhaust system is original. It still has a whole original exhaust system, all Jaguar stamped, and that's because on these cars it was a semi-stainless system. It even still has all 4 original catalytic converters. That's because this car's run on gas for half of its life. So the upshot of that is that the catalytic converters are barely even bedded in. So yeah, really happy with that all in all. Love this car, and it even sounds a bit like a tank. Love this thing. Yeah, anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for the support, as always. You guys are amazing, and I hope to see you all in a future video. If you guys want to see more Judith, comments down below, and I am planning on doing a little Annie update soon because, well, frankly, it's been a while, so you guys deserve an Annie update. So toodly pipsky guys, I'll see you next time. Amendment. Judith the Jag has just had her first breakdown, a burst water hose.